Yeah, it's like Hoosiers up there in northern New York. So it was mostly hockey country, but
Okay.
I graduated. Ricky Carlisle was in our league. He was probably the best player in our league.
Nice. We played a lot of hockey growing up on the ponds, just out in the suburbs. And a guy I went to school with, his dad was the head of Ronald McDonald's Children's Charities, and he owned Seven Bridges, the ice arena. So like on Friday and Saturday nights during like a basketball game, the kids would be like, "Hey man, like my dad said we can go all skate on rink 3. Like let's go."
All right,
That's awesome. They just had the run of it.
I think we're set to get going, right? Right, Deuce? Great. Just double checking that the stream's up and records are good.
Somebody should have wore a red shirt today. One of us, Cole.
I know. All my red shirts are at my mom's house, my mom and dad's house. They're all packed up, and all my marquee stuff, my vest, everything.
I was hoping you would come in with a maroon, JD. That would have really looked nice in that.
That would have worked good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the only one I have right now, guys.
Take a one shot of Cole whenever you're ready, Kev. All right, here we go. Yep. 4 straight blocks, no interviews. High energy all the way through.
Ooh. I think we'll have low energy in the C block, Miller. That's what.
All right, here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, Cole Wright back again. It is time for another fun-filled edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. And today we're going to take a closer look at the Cubs' decision to sign Yu Darvish and let Jake Arrieta walk. Was it the right decision? Of course, we'll discuss. Plus, we'll talk about the worst first pitches in the history of baseball. And I know our panelists, they've seen many first pitches, and they've seen some good and some bad. So let's meet them. It's Bruce Levine, it's Jim Deshaies, and it is Pete McMurray. And Pete, I know you're a big-time soap opera fan, and guys like sands through the hourglass, these are the days of our baseball lives, because we're hoping to get back to some sense of normalcy in Major League Baseball. And the Players Association, well, they continue their negotiations over the return-to-play proposal, and now they have started to exchange financial figures. That's good news. Now, the owner's economic portion of the proposal called for a further cut in salaries, with the highest-paid players taking the biggest hit. Now, as Major League Baseball reportedly targets June 10th for the start of spring training and early July for the regular season to get underway, the NBA and NHL, well, they're already making plans to resume their campaigns. Now, the playoffs, they could stretch over July, August, and September. And as we know, college football, that kicks off as early as August 29th. Now, the NFL season, it's scheduled to start on September 10th when the Houston Texans pay a visit to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Now, guys, as we know, Major League Baseball, they may have some summer competition with the NBA and NHL playoffs. So, Bruce, what does this mean for baseball? Do you think there needs to be some sort of adjustment made?
Yeah, the adjustment is they better get their act together right now and get the season going, because the summer months, as we've talked about before, are usually owned by baseball. You know, June, July, after the NBA finals and NHL finals, it's all baseball until training camp for the NFL. So this year you're going to have head-to-head competition. You're going to have to get it going quickly, and you're going to have to get it going right. So there is certainly a period of time here where they must get going and off quickly. There's no, kind of slowly getting into it. A 1-8 start might mean the end of your chances to make the playoffs, even expanded to 14 teams. So this is going to be good for baseball, that the games are more important more quickly, and the fact that you're going to have 14 playoff teams is what we expect. That's going to help as well.
Yeah, it's a great point, Bruce. The nature of the game is going to be a little bit more intense early on because it is a shrunken schedule. As to the competition with the other sports, I don't think there's any way you can avoid that. It's just the nature of this pandemic. It's kind of rearranged the baseball calendar and the sporting calendar. So everybody's going to be competing for the eyes and the ears of fans But I think the appetite is going to be pretty strong, though, isn't it? I mean, we saw it with The Last Dance, how many people tuned into that. We saw it with the Tiger Woods, Mickelson, Brady, Manning golf show. People are starving for live sporting events. So I think baseball is going to do just fine once they get back on the field and can present their product to the fans. Obviously, there will be competition, but the appetite is really strong.
I've said this from the beginning. The first major sport out of the box is going to have a huge advantage over the others. And who would have thought that the NHL would step up? I can't believe it. But the NHL and NBA have always competed with baseball in the spring, and you've had college football and the NFL competing with baseball in the fall. But the difference this year, as you guys said, is the shortened season. And JD brought it up. It's the hungry sports fan. So you're going to have the NHL, the NBA playoffs, and hopefully baseball will start. Then you'll have college football, and then you'll have the Kentucky Derby, then the NFL. So you starve this sports fan for 90 days, for 3 months, and then you take the next 4 months and you throw everything into it. And this is what baseball needs to do. And everybody hit the nail on the head. They need to cut a deal because you have hungry sports fans out there that are going to be watching. NHL, NBA, NFL, baseball can't be left out of that mix.
Okay, JD, how about this? With the NHL, the NBA, potentially college football, and the NFL all going on when Major League Baseball is in the quote-unquote dog days of summer, how does baseball get a little more creative to maybe gain a few more viewers?
Yeah, well, I think just the essence of the shorter schedule makes it somewhat creative in that the games will have more meaning because there's fewer of them. So, let's start there. I think that will enhance the product a little bit. And then, I think, a lot of hot mics down at field level where you can pick up conversations on the field, in the dugout. I think that's a great idea. I think that'll bring fans into the game a little bit more to kind of give them a feel of being in the ballpark. I think there's that kind of fine line that you have to walk because you want to be creative, you want to present the game maybe a little bit differently you have in the past, but at the same time, you're going to have a lot of people that they just want a sense of normalcy, so they're going to want the game to kind of feel and sound and look like the game they know and love. So that's the whole issue here. You want to give them something else to look at, make it a little bit more interesting, perhaps, without going crazy.
Yeah, but it's going to have to be livened up a little bit. You're going to have to throw some things out there. Mike Santini of the Marquee Network was experimenting with the Javi Cam in spring training. So a camera in the grass that picks up all the movement and all the moves of Javier Baez as the game's going on. Those type of novel things, those type of innovative technical things are something that baseball can not only experiment with, but use to its advantage to market the sport very quickly as they bounce back. So I think there's a lot of great ideas that can come out there, and we're going to see some of that innovation, I think, very quickly in baseball.
Competition makes you better. This is going to be great for baseball because they're going to have to experiment with things like the hot mic, which I think we all agree on we want to see more of, or the mic in the grass. But with all these sports competing, baseball is going to have to step up their game. So we will see probably some experiments this summer if they start playing.
Well, yeah, like JD said, it's going to be a quicker start because essentially it's going to be the second half of the season all season long. And we're just getting started right here on Cubs 360. And as we know, 2020, it's going to be unlike any other season that we've ever seen. So how about this? Does David Ross have an edge over the rest of the game skippers? We're going to tell you why he may. That's next right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Stick around.
Nice, good start. I think.
Let me wave the light.
Like everyone said, being first is going to be a huge advantage no matter what, whoever it is. That is pretty clear. All right, so for the B block,
I think it's also could be some good news that that with UFC, like there was false positives, and I think it would look like an immediate setback. I think now has kind of gone in a different direction, and I think that I think they could take pages from that and see how they've succeeded and failed in in a short time span.
Yeah, I think they've definitely, the stigma over testing is less scary now for sure.
Yeah.
For the B block, we're coming in off of David Ross's 100th career home run anniversary of that in 2016. Then we're going straight to a full screen of managers shortly removed from their playing career. Ross is obviously the closest to his playing career. And we're going to get into a chat on is he the most prepared manager in 2020 due to that recent experience. And in addition to that, he's never managed a regular season, so there's no normal that he has to adjust to. This is, a clean slate for him, and maybe that's an advantage as well. And then we're teasing Darvish and Arrieta at the end. And let's go JD, Pete, then Bruce here. Go JD, Pete, Bruce.
Boom.
About 5:30 for this whole segment, so we got some time.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Deuce, good to go?
All set, thanks.
Great. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
See the ball, hit the ball, and that was David Ross hitting his 100th career home run on to Waveland Avenue, and it was 4 years ago to the day. Now, Rossi, of course, finished his career, hit the second World Series ring in that 2016 campaign, and get a load of this. Out of every current Major League manager, the Cubs skipper played his last game more than 5 years after anyone else. The Brewers, Craig Counsell, and the Rangers, Chris Woodward, they ended their playing days in 2011. And back here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite with Bruce, JD, and Pete. And JD, there's no doubt that 2020 is going to be a challenge for David Ross. But do you think that he has an edge, being that his playing days are so much closer than all the rest of the skippers in the league?
Possibly. I think there's pros when you evaluate David Ross as a manager. Doesn't have a lot of experience. This is the first time doing it. He does it in the midst of this pandemic where the spring training comes to a screeching halt. So there's a lot of things that he has to deal with that are very difficult for any manager, let alone a first-time manager. But yeah, he's not that far removed from being on the field. He knows these players very well. I know this much about David Ross. He's a grinder. He's a very hard worker, and I'm sure he's spending a lot of time during this downtime crunching numbers, talking to players, talking to his analytical people, and preparing for the upcoming season. I think David Ross has the kind of skill set that would serve him well, regardless of the situation as an incoming manager. So I don't know that it's an advantage for David. I just feel very comfortable that he's going to be a good big league manager.
Well, JD, they say catchers make the best managers, right? And David Ross, as a player, he was a good player, but he was a coach on the bench. Here's the good news about Rossi. He doesn't have to deal with the April grind here in Chicago with the bad weather, and he doesn't have to deal with the slow bats in May. But the bad news is he has to hit the ground running. You have a mature club. You have questions with Chris Bryant, and you need to win right away. I love David Ross. I think he's a smart guy, but one thing you need to take into consideration is he's never managed a major league game. I hope David Ross wins the World Series, but he is yet to manage a real major league game. So to me, that seems like a huge disadvantage.
Well, there's 10 managers that are managing in their cities for the first time. 4 of them have never managed in the big leagues before, and David is one of those. But I think the advantage for David is the continuity in the organization. So from the day he retired until he was named manager last November, there was always this consistency of him being involved with the organization, being there for spring training, going out and scouting guys, looking at guys like Kimbrel before they sign. So there is that continuity, even for young players that never played with him, that, yeah, that's a guy that's important around here. He's going to be here for a long time. And that is what we're looking at with Ross coming in. So I think there is a distinct advantage for him having been with this organization for a long time, and the respect that was built up even before he takes over as manager.
Okay, well, surprise, surprise. Pete's down there on the end harping on David Ross for never managing a game. But Pete, he has a relationship with some of these players, being that he played with them. So that has to give him some sort of an edge, right?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Can you manage your friends? Can you tell Anthony Rizzo what to do, or Chris Bryant? I don't know how that's going to work. I think that's the million-dollar question. But my point is, if you've never managed a major league game, and I can go back to, they showed Game 7 on TV, Madden, how he kind of screwed up that bullpen. But David Ross, his first 20 games goes 6-14. Does he freak out? He can't look to the past. He is at a major disadvantage because he doesn't know what to do because he can't compare it to anything.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that point, Pete. I think the biggest disadvantage for David as a first-time manager, he doesn't have much of a break-in period, right? Because it is essentially a half a season that he's going to have to, get up and running. And every new manager I've ever talked to at the big league level, even guys that manage in the minor league level and have some experience, they're always fooled by the pace of the game. We always talk about how slow the game of baseball is. But when you're in that hot seat in the corner of the dugout, things come on you in a hurry. So he just doesn't have that break-in period that you would have in a 162-game schedule. That's going to be the biggest challenge. But again, I feel pretty comfortable that he's going to be up to the challenge.
Yeah, and JD, that break-in period, he won't see those frigid temperatures in April, but he will see the mercury rise in July. So let's hope that he's able to stay calm under the pressure. Now, more to come right here on Cubs 360, including the Cubs. As we know, they let Jake Arrieta walk when they locked up Yu Darvish. That was 2 years ago. Was that the right choice? An examination next right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. I feel like some numbers say it was the right choice and other numbers say it wasn't. And I feel like just the eye test almost says that it wasn't. I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't what?
The right choice. I mean, if I need a dude, if someone says they're both getting warm, it's first inning, who you want, Jake Arrieta or Yu Darvish? I'm going Jake Arrieta.
You want Jake Arrieta 2015.
Yeah, but I feel like would his numbers have declined if he would have left? I mean, sometimes change of scenery and a different team, that lends to, a guy's performance. And not all the time, but I just think, I don't know. If I needed a guy to get me over the hump, I'm going to go with Jake Arrieta over Yu Darvish. No disrespect, because they're both filthy.
Well, we'll get the panel's opinion in 2 minutes.
But what do I know? I'm just a fan.
We're coming off a play-at-home trivia promo. Cole, you should have some specific copy there.
Yep.
Then we are going straight.
Carlos Pena.
Yep, we're going straight from that into – you won't be on cam – straight into the VO of Arrieta hitting the home run off Bumgarner that they're referencing. That gets us to our Miller Lite refreshing take. The Cubs chose correctly in signing Yu Darvish over Jake Arrieta. As Cole mentioned, we're similar performances. Maybe Darvish should tick better, but the money for Darvish is more guaranteed years. Arrieta has 2 team options that don't have to be picked up. So we'll get into that. Let's start with Pete. He seems ready to go. We'll go
Ready.
Pete, Bruce, JD. Deuce, you all set?
All set.
Great. Have a little time here, guys. You have about a minute each, so no need to rush. All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, we're looking forward to seeing Ryan Dempster and Carlos Pena go toe-to-toe in play-at-home trivia. That's coming up next right here on Marquee Sports Network, so don't touch that dial. And, of course, that was Mad Bum, Madison Gardner, giving up that jack to Jake Arrieta in Game 3 of the 2016 NLDS by the Bay in San Francisco.
Hold on,
back
let's
here
stop
with
down
the
real quick.
guys.
Stop
Bruce,
down
Jake.
real quick. You just
What's up?
you should have a little trip over Bumgarner's last name there. So we'll take it from the top and just a little bit cleaner. I think you said Madison.
I didn't hear that.
Is what I heard.
Maybe it just cut out. Yeah. No, maybe
Yeah, it could have cut out too.
Audio. Yeah.
But let's just we'll re-rack that from the top.
All good. We're all good.
All right. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, man. Can't wait to see Ryan Dempster and Carlos Pena go toe-to-toe and play at home trivia. That's coming up next right here on Marquee Sports Network. And, of course, Madison Bumgarner, giving up that jack to Jake Arrieta, Game 3, 2016 NLDS by the Bay in San Francisco. And all of our guys, they saw it. We're back here with the gang on Cubs 360. It's Bruce, JD, and Pete. And Jake the Snake, well, that gets us to our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day, because letting him walk 2 years ago and acquiring Yu Darvish, was that the right move or the wrong move? Pete, I'll start with you. You seem a little fired up about this one.
I love Jake Arrieta. I always thought Jake Arrieta had the mental toughness. When he was in a game, you knew that he was not going to be a head case. Let's look at Yu Darvish for a second. 6 years, his first 2 years. First year, okay. Second year, horrible the first part of last season. Second part of last season, pretty damn good. But here's the problem I have with Yu Darvish. I would never question a player being injured. I would question the mental toughness of a player. So if Darvish has a man on first and he walks the next batter, so he's got a man on first and second, I'm nervous because I think you may unravel in this situation. With Jake Arrieta, no, I would never think that in a million years. After the All-Star break last year, he was great. Hopefully we'll see that starting this season, because winning builds confidence, and hopefully we'll start the season with a little confidence with Yu Darvish.
Well, in Darvish, I saw a very confident pitcher last year. And then we hear about the scandal with the Astros and how that probably impacted Yu Darvish's psyche as well, knowing that his pitches were being easily disseminated by the Houston Astros. So we saw one of the more dominant and confident pitchers in baseball last year with Darvish. As far as Arrieta, his stuff is short. He's not the pitcher he was. Turned down a 4-year, $88 million deal with the Cubs back in 2015-16. So from moving on from Jake to Darvish, I think was the right move. I still think it is. I love both of their competitiveness, especially what we saw from Jake and the time he was here and through the World Series. But that's not the same pitcher anymore. So I think the Cubs have the better end of it now with Darvish.
I thought it was a good deal at the time, and I still would probably come down on the side of signing Darvish versus Jake. What was the right play? The obvious answer is it's yet to be determined. We don't know yet. Year one of the Darvish deal was not good. He made just 8 starts. He was hurt for a good chunk of the year. We had a lot of worries and concerns about the mental side of it. He seemed to put that all to rest last year. From the end of May on, he was about as good as anybody in the league. The strikeout to walk ratio was crazy good, unbelievably good for a guy who for a period of starts couldn't find the strike zone. It was remarkable, the turnaround, and he was trending upward at the end, whereas Jake spent the end of last year on the disabled list. So I think in terms of the way they are trending as you look forward, Darvish seems to be the right man for the job over Arrieta. The other part of all this, of course, though, because of the pandemic and the finances of the game, it might have been better off having the Arrieta contract where you're out of it after this year. Darvish signed a 6-year deal, so there's a lot more money committed to Darvish going forward, and the economics of the game may change after this.
Bruce, what do you say? You need an opening day starter. Why are you going with Yu Darvish?
Because he's the dominant strikeout pitcher, and he's got to be the ace of your staff going forward. If you look at the Cub minor league system, it's still in the developmental stages as far as pitching goes. There's a couple of really good-looking young pitchers coming along right now, not there yet. So he needs to be the ace of your staff and your opening day starter when David Ross makes his choice again as we go toward opening day sometime in July.
Yeah, Yu Darvish looking to be steady for David Ross, hoping to be that constant for this 2020 Cubs pitching staff. Now we're rounding third and headed for home right here on Cubs 360. Up next, first pitches gone awry. Now, if it can happen to MJ, it can happen to pretty much anyone. And we're going to give you our pick for the worst first pitch of all time. It's on decks right here on Cubs 360. Don't move.
Nice way to bring up the that Astros scandal, because that definitely plays
with Darvish. Yeah,
A
They
big
cut into his
mental-
money too.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Nice job there. So for this D block, we have some good responses. I know everyone's picks, but just a reminder, we'll see the video, even though right now you guys aren't seeing us roll it out, but you can reference things that you see in the video, and we'll
Do
have
we
it
know
right
who's
there.
going where? Who we going with first?
Let's go JD, Bruce, then Pete.
Are you 50 Cent pitch off?
So the 50 Cent is the anniversary. Yeah, that's the anniversary that gets us into the segment. So we're starting on a VO, then come on Cam, and welcoming everyone back. About 45 seconds each here, so we have a little time.
Good.
Oh yeah, Stigger, I got you.
Was she somebody or just
Mark
a fan?
Mallory.
Was she just a fan?
Mark Mallory. Remember Eric Davis was like.
JD, can we get a 10 count from you? The sync might have been a little off that last block, we think. Just a slow 10 count, please.
Okay. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What do we think there on the stream?
I've got 3 bad first pitches, which I can go in any direction if anyone takes one up. 3 really bad ones.
All right, here we go.
John Wall had a pretty garbage one too.
Oh, John Wall was trash. That was bad. Going JD, Bruce, Pete here to wrap it up. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Oh, it hurts my eyes just seeing it. Who can forget Curtis Jackson, a.k.a. 50 Cent, looking more like Arnold Jackson with that different stroke, throwing out the first pitch at Citi Field in New York. And that was 6 years ago to the day, and that was just a bit outside, I think it's safe to say. Now, we're almost finished here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Bruce, JD, and Pete back in the fold. And, guys, that 50 Cent first pitch, it was terrible, but was it the worst? JD, have you seen a bunch of bad first pitches? And if so, which one has you wanting to cringe?
Yeah, that was really bad. There's one down at Minute Maid Park years ago, and I'm not sure who the woman was, but she basically spiked the ball into the dirt like she was trying to kill the clock in a football game. You may remember Call Me Later, Carly Rae Jepsen in Tampa, just misfiring by a wide margin.
Call Me Maybe.
But my vote
JD.
goes to Call Me Maybe, that one. Yeah. So my winner is a former or one-time Miss Texas down in Arlington who tried to throw it underhand, and you got to at least go over the top, right? If you're throwing out a first pitch. So sorry, Miss Texas, but you have to settle for Miss Congeniality, I guess.
I'm going to have to go with one of the greatest athletes in the history of Chicago and the entire world, my man Michael Jordan, for trying to hit the backboard with a first pitch September 28th, 1998, as the Cubs and Giants were getting set to play a play-in game for the only wild card that year. Air Jordan airlifted one over everybody's head, and I love Michael, and he was a pitcher when he's 14, and he's the greatest basketball player of all time. But that one still makes me cringe a little bit.
Curtis James Jackson. I mean, 50 Everybody says the worst pitch ever. This guy is supposed to be a tough guy, a rapper, and he throws that pitch. Horrible. But my favorite worst pitch of all time could be my favorite pitch of all time. Bill Murray was throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley Field in July of, I think it was 2012. Bill got up to the mound and he threw it over the backstop. I don't know if he was trying to throw it over the backstop or he just had too much in his arm, but I enjoyed it either way. So Bill Murray is my pick.
Too much in his arm or too much across the street at the Cubby Bear. I'm surprised nobody went with the former mayor of Cincinnati, Mark Mallory. I remember when he threw that first pitch out, Eric Davis was there to catch it. And then he was, as it went into the stands, he kind of looked back a little crazy at him. But I don't know if the first pitch was worse or when Mark Mallory went on Undercover Boss and was wearing one of those fake wigs with braids where he looked like Shamar Moore from Baby Boy. But either way, I digress, guys, because our time here, just like bad first pitches, well, it's gone by the wayside here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. So for everybody at Marquee Sports Network, including Bruce, JD, and Pete, I'm Cole Wright. Hopefully no bad first pitches in your future. We'll see you next time.
Awesome last segment.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Did you guys see when Mark Mallory went on Undercover Boss and he was wearing like a wig? So bad.
I did not.
I
So
do
bad.
remember that.
We good, guys?
Yeah, we're all good. Cole, couple reads for you, but
Yeah. Hey,
You got it.
nice working with you guys. Have
All
a
right,
great day.
thanks, guys.
Good stuff,
All
guys.
right.
good job.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Tomorrow,
Hey,
fellas.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Cole, you got that email?
Yeah, I've
Sorry.
got the first one. There's another one that I need to. I'll just read it. I'll just do it off my phone. But I didn't get that one when I was jotting stuff down.
Gotcha. Which one is this? Just because one has graphics. one
I
doesn't.
have this one. I have a straight ahead on Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. Major League Baseball still active in negotiations while the NBA and NHL plotting their
Yep.
returns. How could baseball compete?
Sweet. So Kevin, this one has graphics on it.
You want to shorten this up a little bit? How long does this have to be?
Yeah. So 15. I took out the one I emailed you second. I took out the second topic, so we can just go.
I can get it all in though. I can get it in
You
like
can
this.
get it in
I'm like, ahead
15.
on Cubs 3. I can hit 15. I can just do it like, ahead on Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. How does Major League Baseball compete with the NBA and NHL as they're plotting their comebacks? Plus, does David Ross have an edge over the rest of the big league skippers? Just something like that. We'll discuss that
Yeah.
more.
Okay, that works.
This font right here.
Yep, and we'll do just the name font into that. Do you have the name?
Yeah, I got it. I'm all good.
Okay. Cole, you can count yourself in.
Yep. In 3, 2, 1. Ahead on Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite with negotiations still. Do it one more time. 3, 2, 1. Hey, straight ahead on Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite with negotiations still spinning. How does Major League Baseball compete with hoops and hockey in 2020? And with the season potentially right around the corner, does David Ross have an edge over the rest of Major League Baseball skippers? We'll discuss that and more tonight on Cubs 360 on Marquee Sports Network, weeknights, 7:30.
Yeah, that was 5 seconds long, so maybe we can just stick with the one segment. It's more important to get that timeout.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll just go with the one
You got it.
segment. We have the second one on the graphic anyway. All right, here we go. Another take.
In 3, 2, 1. Coming your way tonight on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite with Major League Baseball and their negotiations still spinning. How will they compete with hoops and hockey in 2020? We'll discuss that and much, much more tonight on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, right here on Marquee Sports Network.
Nice. That's good. We have this other one, Kevin. This one's clean.
And let me see this one. You sent that to me. Here's the other read.
12:35, I think.
You want me to name them at all, or just clean?
Clean's fine.
Okay. Let's try to knock this out. See if we can get it one time.
Yeah, this one, no specific time it has to be because they give the copy
Yep.
to us, so we're just matching them. All right, on you.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Cubs fans. Stay tuned because after the game, Jim DeShays is going to catch up with Michael Kim and the gang on the stadium. And then directly after that, that's Cubs 360. We're going to discuss how other sports could impact Major League Baseball and the 2020 schedule. You won't want to miss it. It's coming straight ahead.
Great. Thank you, Cole.
No doubt.
Good job today.
Good stuff, guys.
See ya.
So, Miller, when you do it? When's your next show?
Monday, because I got off the mountains
Monday?
tomorrow and Friday. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. See you Monday, brother.
Yeah, I'll see you.
Good stuff, guys.